Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now, today's going to be a quick video. Yeah. Shout out to President Assimi Goita, General Assimi Goita. My mistake, my fault. We're talking about the generals today. Shout out to the general. Now, before we get started, yesterday I dropped the first song, the first single, the first music video off the next album, 21 Cannons. Check it out. Link in the description, pin comment at the top. Fire. Now, let's get into it. Today's video comes on the heels of the video I dropped the other day where I spoke about, take a look up on the screen, right? The Malian army dropped, 80 jihadist terrorists from Al-Qaeda, put them boys on their back. Yes. Now, we're going to talk about today, take a look up on the screen. Mali plans to sell the gold reserves at the Barrack complex to fund operations. Let's talk about it. Now, before we get into today's topic, in case you might be new to the channel, we've been keeping track of the ongoing dispute between the Malian government and Barrack Gold, one of the largest gold mining companies on the planet, right? Now, this dispute, at the root of this disagreement between the two factions, is a dispute over taxes. Barrack owes over $500 million in taxes, and still to this day, they have yet to pay the bill. So let's go down some of the articles over the past year that kind of, chronicle the dispute between Mali and Barrack. Take a look up on the screen, right? Last October, Mali says Barrack Gold owes $500 million in taxes. Last December, Mali issues an arrest warrant for the Barrack Gold CEO. Then, at the top of the year, Mali seizes 3 tons of gold from the Canadian company Barrack amid dispute over share of revenue. Now, at the time that this 3 tons of gold was taken by the government, I believe it was priced at around $250 million. Now, the price of gold has been skyrocketing out of control in recent times. So I believe now in the present day, that gold will be valued at around about $320 million. So from the top of the year until now, the value of that gold has appreciated and earned damn near $70 million in profit. And all it's been doing was sitting in the central bank of the country. Now, anyways, a few months ago, take a look up on the screen, Mali shuts down Barrack Gold's office over non-payment of taxes. Then take a look up on the screen. Mali threatens to let the Barrack mine permit lapse over the dispute. Now, keep in mind, the company Barrack Gold, their license, their permit to operate that gold mine, it expires, I believe, the top of the year next year, around February 2026. So essentially, the government doesn't really have to do anything. They can simply wait till February and say, you know what, we're not going to renew your permit. And that's that. And at that point, you cannot run to the courts, or you cannot run and file arbitration because legally your permit expired. And as the government, they reserve the right to allow it to expire. So to me, I believe the government is going to do that. They're going to let February 2026 arrive, and they're going to let the permit go into the garbage. And due to the fact that I know that there are certain individuals who are close to the government that watch my channel, yes, I recommend, let the permit expire. Now, let's continue. Now, as you already know, I did a video on this a couple weeks ago. Take a look up on the screen. Barrack's gold mining complex has been placed under state control in Mali, right? The government is now currently the operator and the administrator over the gold mine. They are now handling day-to-day operations. The company no longer has access or permission to operate the gold mine at this current moment in time. Now, take a look up on the screen. Barrack is formalizing efforts to find a successor to the CEO, Mark Bristow. The industry veteran commits to remain until 2028, but says there is board involvement in a process to replace him, right? So this guy about to get fired. Mark Bristow about to get fired. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. Now, take a look up on the screen. Mali takes control of one of Africa's largest gold mines and launches its own refinery. Now, let's get into the topic of today. As you can see, Mali plans to sell gold reserves at the Barrack complex to fund operations. Let's jump straight into the article. Mali's court-appointed administrator at the Barrack mining complex plans to sell 1 metric ton of gold from the site's storeroom as operations commence again after a nearly 6-month suspension. Now, as you already know, during this whole entire fiasco, this whole entire dispute, the operations at the gold mining complex were not active, right? They were put on pause. They were put on hold while the heated negotiations were going down. Now, operations recently, I believe over the past couple weeks, have began again under state control. Now, let's continue. The plant reportedly started operating on Monday for the first time since January, when Barrack temporarily halted mining operations after the Mali government seized gold from the complex, which accounted for 15% of the company's gold production before the suspension. Barrack CEO Mark Bristow told Reuters that the company had received only informal information about the restart and gold shipment. And if it is true, any plans by the administration to restart operations and sell gold on the site, in our view, would be illegitimate. Oh my God. Now, first things first, keep in mind, this is the same company that owes $500 million in taxes, not $500,000, not $50,000, not 500 M's, $500 million in taxes, right? Now, that's a crime, right? They are guilty of crimes. They are guilty of criminal activity, right? And when you owe $500 million in taxes, right, that means that you have failed to meet your contractual obligations. You are obligated to pay a certain amount of royalties and taxes to the government, basically as a way of paying rent to the government for allowing you the privilege to operate on national territory and engage in commerce. Due to the fact that you have breached the contract, you are no longer legitimate because you have failed to meet your obligations. Therefore, you are in no position to label anybody legitimate or illegitimate because you have no standing. You have no legitimacy because you are a fraud and a criminal. Now let's continue. The funds from the planned sale of gold, worth around $107 million, will be used to finance operational expenses like salaries, fuel, and unpaid dues to contractors. Selling the ton of gold, which has sat in the gold room since operations were suspended and is separate from the 3 tons seized back in January, will be one of the court-appointed administrators' first key actions after formally taking charge of the operations. Now, let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. So, Mali plans to sell 1 ton of gold, worth a little over $100 million, to essentially jumpstart operations, because now the gold mine complex is now under state control. So the state is now handling day-to-day operations, which includes the payment of salaries, which includes investing into the project, because business is about, you have to invest the seed capital first, right? So usually what the Westerners like to say, oh, well, we are the investors, so you need us to, get the investment because we have the investment. Well, guess what? We don't need the investment because the gold is going to pay for itself. We're going to sell 1 ton of gold for $100 million, and that $100 million is going to be our seed capital to jumpstart operations. We don't need you, brother. Now, keep in mind that 1 ton of gold that they're going to sell to use as seed capital is only a fraction of the gold that they have at their disposal. I believe Mali generates or produces 50 to 60 tons of gold per year. So just 1 ton of gold over $100 million, that's the seed capital right there. Right. And from there, you can pay your workers, your salaries, your advisors. You can bring in, technical expertise if you need to. Right. The equipment, the machinery, everything needed to keep an operation sustaining. You need money. You need an investment. Right. So that was the leverage that the Western companies would come to the table. They say, we got the investment, da, 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 da. Well, guess what? We don't need your investment, brother, because we got the gold. And not only that, but if you watch my video the other day, I spoke about the fact that currently Mali has a gold refinery under construction. So not only are they in control in handling the day-to-day operations of the gold mine itself, but they also are in construction of a gold refinery to process and refine the gold and, actually bring a finished product to the market instead of just shipping off the raw gold somewhere to Switzerland or Dubai to get it refined. And when you ship off the raw gold to get it refined somewhere else, you lose value. You miss out on those profits, right? But now when you have a refinery in-house, you keep those profits, you keep that money in your pocket, and you actually make a profit on top of that. And not only that, but you have a lot of nations that have gold refineries, but they have no gold mines, right? But now you have a gold mine, an endless supply of gold, and you have a refinery. And guess what? There are other African nations that are also rich in gold. And instead of them sending their gold, overseas to Switzerland or wherever, they send it to you. They could send it to you right on the continent, right? We could have all our gold refined right here on the continent, right? Because Mali by itself only produces, like I said, 50 to 60 tons of gold per year. But the gold refinery they're currently establishing has the capacity to process 200 tons, which means that they have capacity to not only refine their entire gold supply, but also the gold supply of other neighboring nations. And Burkina Faso already has the gold refinery as well, I believe damn near finished. So the AES could become a regional continental gold refining giant, gold refining hub, to where we don't got to go outside the continent. We could send it right to the Sahel, process the gold, baby. So all that value remains in our pocket, in-house, in the continent, right? In our hands, right? So like I said, man, that's why the other day we spoke about the Western media calling for regime change in Mali, because they already know what it is. They already know what time it is. And keep in mind, this is nothing new to us, because don't forget, for a very long time, it was black men, it was African men that had a monopoly over the gold trade, that dominated the gold trade. We've been extracting and trading and controlling the gold supply for a very long time, for many centuries, right? For many centuries. How you think Mansa Musa crashed the gold economy way back when? It's because we've been doing this. We've been having gold From Ouagadougou to Mali to the Songhai, we've been doing this. This is our domain. In ancient times, black men, African men, we've leveraged our gold to not only finance large armies, to build architecture in legendary cities like Timbuktu, right? But we've engaged in trade with men all over the world, from Arabs to Europeans, all of that, right? We were famous because we were known as the men who had the gold. So now it seems that history is simply coming full circle, right? We're coming back around to what we've been doing since the beginning of time. A large reason why you had so many explorers and travelers coming from different parts of the world, Europe and the Middle East, was because they knew, oh man, those black men over there in West Africa, I heard they got a lot of gold over there. We got to go see what's happening over there. That was the motivation for not only the men from the Middle East, but also guys like the Portuguese. That also motivated them to come to the continent. So what I'm saying is this skill about extracting gold and trading and controlling gold, this is our domain, right? This is what we do. So any detractors saying that the Africans don't have the capacity to control their gold supply or don't have the capacity to control their gold mine and the day-to-day operations, what do you mean? We were the first ones to do it. It was the black man, it was the African man who was the first one to have the gold. It was the black man, the African man, the first one to rock the gold and put the gold on his neck and on his wrist. It was the black man, the African man, to put the gold on his women and his children. Listen, we've been doing this, baby. This is what we do. This is what we do, right? So like I said, this is simply us taking back our rightful position as the custodians of the gold. And to be honest, it could not come at a better time because like I said before, the price of gold is skyrocketing. As you can see, just at the top of the year, 3 tons of gold was worth about 250 million. Now it's about 320 million in like 6 months. So like I said, man, big salute to General Assimi Goïta, President Assimi Goïta. Oh man, nothing but love and respect, right? Now, like I said, the Barrick Gold Mine, I believe the company, like I said, their license is due to expire in February 2026. Now, of course, they're doing everything in their power to, still maintain access to the gold. They run into the World Bank. They file an arbitration. They trying to sue the country. They doing everything. They're pulling out all the stops. But at the end of the day, if you ask me, this is my advice to the government. Let the license expire. Let the license expire. Now, of course, you could do what Niger did with Orano, the uranium company, and just revoke the license altogether. But, just to give yourself legal cover, let the license expire on its own. Therefore, they have no cover and no legal backing. That's the advice that I would give to the government. So, yeah, in summary, Mali is leveraging 1 ton of gold from their several dozens of tons of gold, 1 single ton. And that 1 ton is a little over $100 million. And that $100 million is going to be the seed capital to jumpstart the gold mine back up again, right? Because now the gold mine is under state control. So now you need seed capital. So instead of going off and trying to drum up, foreign investment, the gold is going to pay for itself, right? So now with the gold refinery under construction, now Mali is building an entire vertically integrated chain from the extraction level all the way to the refinement level, and now bringing a finished product to the market. And from there, now you have a cash cow generating revenue that can be reinvested to jumpstart other sectors in the country from, infrastructure, agriculture, education, the military especially, right? So, like I said, man, President Assimi Goïta, I know the captain, he's that guy, but man, you always been my general. Now, anyways, man, it's your boy Neferkari Dessalines back in the building. Yes, indeed. Now, like I said, I just dropped my brand new single off the next album along with a music video. Check it out. 21 Cannons, link in the description, pin comment at the top. Check it out. Patreon, sign up for the Patreon, NTD 1814. I believe either tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to jump into another topic on the Patreon. Take a look up on the screen. Kenya turns to Israel for a $3 billion missile defense deal. I'm going to talk about that on the Patreon. You can't really talk about them boys from Israel, out in the public. So, I'm going to go hide on the Patreon. So y'all can find me on the Patreon talking about Israel. Now, we already know Kenya is a Western vassal. So obviously, part of being a Western vassal is you get access to things like these. So I'm going to talk about that on the Patreon probably tomorrow. So sign up for the Patreon. Link in the description box. Now, anyways, man, it's your boy Neferkari Dessalines, and I'm gone. Peace. King of the North and I feel like Moise. Took a few losses, I'm back on my feet. Selling they soul for trinkets and cash. Right on the front like the leader from Chad. Feel like it see me, I feel like I'm Idris. Walking on gold, I handle my business. Honor, integrity, money, and power. Told me she love me, she want me in power. Told her I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Told her come over, come see me in person. Told her come over, I'm sick of the talking. Don't got no time cause that money be calling. Working all night and I'm up in the morning. Love when I call her, she love my attention. Body and soul, I'm truly protected. Back on that road in big body business. Told her I love her, I told her she mine. Get in that passenger seat, we gon' ride. Back on my mission, that money been stacking. Came from the bottom, I'm steady expanding. Run to the check and I pull up and vanish. Grabbing the neck from the back when I smash. Don't need no question, they know it's official. Come from the cloth and my life ain't no fiction. Ride for the scene like I'm army enlist. Gotta stay focused, I'm moving deliberate. Heart of a king and my heart full of pain. Look at my neck and it's flooded with chains. And I got Desaline blood in my veins. Enemy watching, I stay with a flame. Keep it 100, they know how we move. Black on black beam, interior blue. How you gon' leave me? I told you I love you. Pain in my heart, you knew I was trouble. Enemy watching, they wanna invade it. Hoping my brothers don't never betray us. Been on my mind and I hope I can save us. Look at my flaws, I don't see perfection. But I'm authentic, I'm whipping the 7. Like it's a phantom, I'm still manifesting. Gotta get money, I gotta get paid. Stay on my toes when I'm ducking these snakes. Go to my wrist and the queen on my arm. Feeling my energy, loving my charm. Might go put Desaline face on a piece. Ready for war, that's how you get peace. Know I'm protected, I'm ready for action. When I walk in, I need 21 cannons. Secret location, I'm up in the palace. One of a kind and she loving my manners. One of a kind and I'm telling the truth. His and her Bentleys, I gotta get two. Feeling like future, we never gon' lose. Feeling like Garvey, I'm running the block. Entering off firm and I'm letting off shots. King of the North and I'm up at the top. How you gon' leave me? I told you I love you. Pain in my heart and you knew I was trouble. Enemy watching, they wanna invade it. Hoping my brothers don't never betray us. Been on my mind and I hope I can save us. Look at my flaws, I don't see